Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I hope you're all doing well, inshallah. Let's begin. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي زدني علما اللهم فقهنا في الدين اللهم إني أسألك علما نافعا وعملا متقبلا ورزقا طيبا اللهم اهدي قلبي وسدد لساني واستر سخيمة قلبي آمين يا رب العالمين. Inshallah, بإذن we will quickly review the ayat from our previous lesson, which were ayah number 35 to 37 of Surah Al-Imran, and then we will move on to our next lesson. Inshallah, بإذن Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So these ayat again, as we began from last week, was the official story of Ali-Imran, the family of Imran. Okay, and Imran was a righteous man in the time of Bani Israel, and this is the story of the mother of Maryam alayhi salam, and it starts from there, and then it goes on to and branches on to the entire family, and we will see different members of this righteous family. Okay, and we also learn from these ayat the miraculous birth of Isa alayhi salam. But most importantly, the focus of these ayat are on these two women, and Maryam alayhi salam and her mother, and the uncle of Maryam alayhi salam, who is Zakaria alayhi salam. He's also prophet of Allah. Ayah number 35 إذ قالت امرأة عمران. Remember or recall when the wife of Imran said. So here the wife of Imran was a pious man, okay, a scholar in the community, and at this point in time, the wife, she's expecting, she is pregnant, and her husband has passed away, and she's expecting. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He blessed her with a child in her womb, and she was at a later age in her life. And at that time, her husband had also passed away while she was pregnant. So as she has this child in her womb, she makes this dua. What is the dua that she makes? She says, Rabbi inni nadattu laka ma fi batni. Oh Allah, I dedicate to you whatever is in my womb. This child that is in my womb, what do I do? What is my dua for it? Is that this child is entirely at your service. Muharwaran, meaning this child is free of serving me as a parent or tending to my needs, and I free this child to be at your service. فَتَقَبَّلْ minni. So if you look at her name, this is the mother of Maryam alayhi salam. Her name was Hannah bint Fakuz. Okay, and again, she was a pious woman who hadn't had a child from a long time. This was her first and only child, and her husband had passed away. So if you imagine the state that she was in, this is her only immediate family member that she's going to have, and especially in this state, any woman, her heart and soul would be this child. And here is this woman who, and why did she want a warith? Like, why did she want a child in the first place? Is because since her husband had passed away, she wanted this child for the continual of this scholarly legacy. She wanted someone to worship Allah, to take the deen forward. Okay, and this was her in her mind. And when she made this dua to Allah, that this child is free of me, I'm not going to ask, how parents have these many, and this is only natural to have this, but have a lot of wishes for their children. My child grows up, it's going to be, he or she are going to be like this with me. I want them to have this ambition, this career, this success, all these things, right? That's the closest. Parent and a child's relation is the closest relation, right? So she says, فَتَقَبَّلْ مِنِّي. Oh Allah, accept this from me. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. That you alone are truly all hearing and all knowing. Walaikum assalam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave such a firstly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave such an honor to this woman for her dedication. That He honored her by mentioning her in the Quran and saving the story for the entire mankind until the end of time. So here what we say, and here also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recorded a speech of a woman, a secret speech of a woman. She's just talking to Allah. Oh Allah, I'm going to have a child, I'm expecting, and I really want to dedicate this child to you. Just accept it from me, oh Allah. You also see humility. Saying no, she's not having any gestures of as if I'm doing a favor. Child is a big deal for any person, for especially for a mother who is the one who's giving birth. Child means a big deal, right? But here she's saying with so much humility, oh Allah, I don't know if you would accept this from me. So فَتَقَبَّلْ مِنِّي. فَلَمَّا وَدَعَتْهَا, ayah number 36, and when she delivered, قالت ربي إني ودعتها أنثى. She said, my Lord, as an exclamation, I have given birth to a girl. And Wallahu alamu bima wada'at. Allah was fully aware of what she was delivering. Or even when the child was in the womb, and even before conception, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew the gender of the child. Here, why the gender of the child is important, it has nothing to do with a girl or a boy, but the purpose that she wanted to dedicate her child towards was the service in Bayt al-Maqdis or Masjid al-Aqsa. And in those time, only men were the ones serving in Bayt al-Maqdis. And when she delivered a female baby, she was surprised how well a female baby served in Bayt al-Maqdis when everyone, all of their guardians and staff members and everyone in Bayt al-Maqdis are male. So she's like, oh, and she was worried if the dedication that she had made to Allah, will it be fulfilled? So Allah was fully aware what she had delivered. وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنثَى. The male is not like the female. What does this mean? Is that the kind of work a female, or what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had to uh, the kind of mission that He had to give to this baby girl was not going to be the same that would have been accomplished through a male, which was Maryam alayhi salam was supposed to have a son who was Isa alayhi salam, right? And the miraculous birth of Isa alayhi salam, that was supposed to be, that was supposed to happen. That was the mission that was going to be accomplished. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah knows what He gives. He knows the hikmah behind this. Why was a female born? Why was a girl born? Because there was another work that needed to be taken. وَإِنِّي. So this is the background of that. Why a female was born? Because she had to take this task of birthing Isa alayhi salam. وَإِنِّي. And then she goes on to say, وَإِنِّي سَمَّيْتُهَا Maryam. So she says to Allah, oh Allah, I have named her Maryam. So here you see a mother naming her child. She gives a beautiful name to her daughter. The name Maryam means the one who is at service to Allah and service to people. So both. This beautiful name has both meaning of ibadah and khidmah, like service and worship elements. So the beautiful, so she tells, so first thing she does is she names her baby. And then the second thing that she does is وَإِنِّي أُعِيذُهَا بِكَ وَذُرِّيَّتَهَا مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. I seek your protection for her and for her offspring from shaitan the accursed. Meaning the second thing that she does is that she's a very intelligent woman. She knows that my child's biggest enemy and the enemy of my future generations is shaitan. So she seeks Allah's protection, Allah's refuge from shaitan ar-rajim, the curse, the greatest enemy. So here shows the intelligence and the forward thinking of this woman, okay, the mother of Maryam alayhi salam, that she is constantly doing actions that are beneficial for her child, especially in her akhirah, giving a beauty. The name has a big influence on a person's personality, and it is from the sunnah to give beautiful names, names with beautiful meaning to children. Okay, and they can be named right after birth or up to 7 days after the birth. Okay, and this is all from, you can name the child immediately, and the child can also be named all up to the 7 days to their after their birth. And it's a sunnah, and also a woman can name. She doesn't, no one has to pick a particular family member and choose them to name. Of course person can, but even a mother can name her child, right? Because here Maryam alayhi salam's mother named her. Okay, and second thing, protecting your child. As soon as the child is born, what is the first thing they should be in among the protection of in the protection of Allah, and not exposed to things, not exposed to things, because when the moment a child is born, shaitan pricks the child, right? So she calls for Allah's protection on her child and on her future generations. Ayah number 37. فَتَقَبَّلَهَا رَبُّهَا بِقَبُولٍ حَسَنٍ. So her Lord accepted her dua, her offering, her dedication, qabulan hasanan, because in a beautiful acceptance. Why? Because the one asking this was had a beautiful intention, had a beautiful heart, had a beautiful sincerity. Because of her sincerity, even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he accepted in a beautiful way. How did he accept it in a beautiful way? We see the dua coming into fruition. Like you can see, Allah, it's not just what she asked for. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives her, the mother of Maryam alayhi salam, and Maryam alayhi salam, more, way more than what they prayed for. Okay, what is the first thing? وَكَفَّلَهَا زَكَرِيَّا. وَكَفَّلَهَا زَكَرِيَّا. Her guardian, her kifala was done by Zakaria, and who was her uncle. Okay, so sorry, before that, وَأَنبَتَهَا نَبَاتًا حَسَنًا. He first, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, made Maryam alayhi salam grow up to be physically, emotionally, and in terms of maturity, gave her a lot of wisdom in that. Okay, so she grew up fast physically, emotionally, and even in her immaturity and emotional intelligence. She as a child, Maryam alayhi salam, was above all the children of her time. Okay, and this is sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a gift of Allah to parents, to certain parents, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sometimes He provides such environment to certain children, or provides such parents to certain children, that they grow up more mature, more wise, and even more emotionally intelligent for their age. And this is what happened with Maryam alayhi salam. And we've discussed in great detail about the upbringing of children in this ayah. Is that, what does it mean? وَأَنبَتَهَا نَبَاتًا حَسَنًا, right? To grow up a child with a lot of in goodness and in betterment, is to also provide an environment for the child. How important it is for a child to be given a righteous environment from even when they're in womb, because they're hearing everything, right? And previously, in previous times, righteous mothers used to take their babies in the gatherings of scholars, right? And young children would be at service to righteous people, and they would learn from them and engage with them, and they develop a lot of things with this, especially number one, respect for elders, learning from elders and from the maturity and from their at a young age. Also, when young children are put under older people or in gatherings like this, they pick up faster, they learn faster, and they develop a taste for the deen. So this is, and then as they're growing up, they become more inclined towards deen because this is the environment they're given, right? So what we learn from this, many a times, parents are the one who are very hesitant to put young children just because they're young. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given so much ability to children to learn and absorb from such a young age. So basically, parents determine the environment of a child. And this is an utmost responsibility. Number one responsibility for parents are their children. And the first responsibility, the utmost of top of this, top of the list should be to provide a righteous environment for the children. That should be number one. Not just physically nurturing the child with food and water and other things, but especially the spiritual nurturing that begins from a very young age. And especially, how can you have an Islamic environment at home when both the parents are gaining education or have the understanding of deen? So it's before even educating the child, the mother needs to be educated. The father needs to gain education, Islamic education, so they can develop that environment at home. Okay, and we see that وَكَفَّلَهَا, and then the second blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave is the kifala of Zakaria alayhi salam. That the who was taking care for her father had passed away, so who was now her guardian? And Zakaria alayhi salam was the uncle of Maryam alayhi salam, basically the husband of her mother's sister, right? And you can say khalu. And so he was the one, and if you know about Zakaria alayhi salam, he's a prophet of Allah, a very righteous and pious man, and he longed to be one of the guardians of Maryam alayhi salam. Okay, and people they drew lots in first people were when Maryam alayhi salam's mother brought Maryam alayhi salam to Baitul Maqdis, people were hesitant because they were all male. But when they got to know the virtue of this child, she perhaps, from historical sources, we know the mother of Maryam alayhi salam perhaps narrated some stories or dreams that she had from Allah or things, and then everyone was eager to be her guardian. And from among them was Zakaria alayhi salam. They drew lots, and the name of Zakaria alayhi salam came, and that's how Allah wanted it to be. Okay, and Zakaria alayhi salam, he was well aware of the behavior of Maryam alayhi salam, her akhlaq, her mizaj. So according to that, he brought her up. وكفله وكفلها Zakaria, and then as he would be taking, so kifala also means taking care of all the needs, like providing food, water, and things like that, or basic needs of a person. كلما دخل عليها زكريا المحراب, whenever Zakaria alayhi salam would visit the mihrab is means the place of worship of a person. Okay, so he would whenever he would visit her private chamber where she used to worship Allah, وجد عندها رزقا, he would find with her rizq. Rizq means provision, food, or risk here could also mean knowledge. Okay, so he would find, first he was the one responsible for her guardianship, so no one else could bring it for her. This was his duty. Okay, second thing, he would find provision or food or fruits, they say, that were not seasonal. They were not to be found in the area of Jerusalem at that time or that season, and he would find that they're out of season. Okay, and also scrolls of knowledge and stuff. So he would think, and he, because of being surprised that I'm the only one who visits, then how is this coming? So he'd said, قال يا مريم أنى لك هذا, oh Maryam, how where is this from? How did you get this? Okay, and this was coming out of surprise. It also shows, Ya Maryamu, calling her by name. It's a beautiful way, especially for older people, to acknowledge and to show love towards younger people. Calling name is a beautiful honor of a person. And again, we discussed that, especially this goes from older to younger, not younger people calling older people by names. Okay, our deen teaches adab and respect. Okay, so he said, Ya Maryamu, anna laki hada? Qalat huwa min indillah. She said, this is from Allah. Whatever you see, however it came, maybe someone brought, however it got to her, She said the source is Allah. She named the source. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَرْزُقُ مَن يَشَاءُ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives without any hisab. Whoever He wants to give, whoever He wants to bless, without any accounting, Allah gives. Hisab, without any payback. Unlimited. If people give, there's always whenever people give, it's never unlimited. There's always a limit to it. And when people give, there's always some sort of an expectation. Even if the person in the purest form does not expect, but as a human being, you think, I have to do something, or I have to. People become obliged. But with the relationship with Allah, بِغَيْرِ حِسَاب. Allah gives, but He doesn't take. In another place in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَهُوَ يُطْعِمُ وَلَا وَهُوَ يُطْعِمُ وَلَا يُطْعَمُ, meaning He feeds, but He doesn't need to be fed. This is referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning this kind of giving, this kind of relation can only happen with Allah. So why not ask from the one who gives without having us to give anything back to Him? بِغَيْرِ حِسَاب. So this iman, what we learn from this iman of a young girl, and here Maryam alayhi salam is a teenager, a young girl who is in her private chamber worshiping Allah. And think of this, we always think of, we have to go out in the world and do all of these things, and many times are faced with different challenges. She is alone, a female among men, and she's a female scholar. Okay, and she's worshiping and serving Allah. And when she's asked, where is the risk? She doesn't engage in a long conversation, uncle, I worship so much, and Allah, I do this and that's why Allah. No, she just says, Allah provided this for me. Right? The source is Allah, meaning also showing her humility that whatever I do can never come close to how much Allah blesses me. Okay, and this iman and tawakkul and this confidence of a young girl, okay, this inspired a prophet of Allah. Zakaria alayhi salam is a prophet of Allah, and it said that he was very old, very, very old at this time. Okay, also many times older people think, why should I learn something from someone who's so young? What does he or she know? And here he is not even an older person. He's a prophet of Allah. So we should never have this kind of ego when it comes to learning. Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sometimes blessed younger people with so much wisdom. We should always be open to learn from. Parents should listen to the children and learn from them, see what they have to say. Sometimes their ideas and views and their opinion or advice is very beneficial. So when he heard this, then and there, ayah number 38, hunalika. The word hunalika means then and there, like right away, just right where he was standing. هنالك دعا زكريا ربه. There, Zakaria alayhi salam prayed to his Lord. He didn't miss a moment. He didn't think, I will go back to my house and, I learned something new today, or I learned something very different and inspiring today. I'm going to go home and do this. No, he didn't waste a moment then and there, because you never know when is the moment of acceptance from Allah. So whenever a wish for doing something good happens, it comes in your heart, do it right then and there. If you see, and also what we learn, this is a very important lesson, very, very important lesson for us. When we see something good for when we see others receiving something good, what should be in our heart? Make dua for yourself. Oh Allah, they have this knowledge. Oh Allah, bless me. Oh Allah, their children have this. Oh Allah, bless me with this. Instead of having any negative emotion towards it. Why do they have it? Why don't I? Not why don't, but make dua for yourself. So Here, when Zakaria alayhi salam saw Maryam alayhi salam receiving something, he made a dua. What was his dua? قال ربي هب لي, O Allah, my Lord, grant me or bless me, okay, min ladunka, from yourself, exclusively from yourself, zurriyatan tayyiba, a righteous offspring, a righteous child. So what was his dua? Zakaria alayhi salam, he had not had a child, and he was very old in his age. Okay, it is said that Zakaria alayhi salam was almost 120 years old. Some places say 100, 220. So he was very, very old. And it is said that his wife was about 88 to 90 something years old. So both him and his wife were very, very old. And scientifically or biologically, it seemed that it would be impossible to have a child at that age. But because he saw that Maryam alayhi salam was receiving something that was impossible. How can something get in there which is unseasonal, and that is things when only he was the one visiting. So if Allah can give her, Allah can give me. Right? And she gave, بغير hisab. She gave a beautiful lesson, and he took on to it. So he made the dua, رَبِّ هَبْ لِي مِن لَدُنْكَ ذُرِّيَّةً طَيِّبَةً. And he prayed for a righteous child. طيب. He prayed for a child who is good in, طيب means good in every way. Physically, in their speech, in their akhlaq, in their personality, in their obedience to Allah. So a righteous child, إِنَّكَ سَمِيعُ الدُّعَاء. You are the one who hears the dua. So what do we, and he calls, this is calling Allah by beautiful names. Sami'u dua, the hearer of duas. So what is the etiquette of making a dua? A dua should be made with the presence of heart. A dua should be made by calling Allah by beautiful names. What we learn, there's so much purity and sincerity in the dua. And a dua that, a lot of the times duas are made with a ghafil heart. The heart is somewhere else. No, Allah, give me this. But you're not into it. This is a heartfelt, you use a heartfelt dua. You pour your heart into it. And sincere, exclusive dua, and calling Allah by His beautiful names. And number 39, فَنَادَتْهُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. So the angels called out to him. Here, malaika is a plural angel, but it's used, even though it's in plurality, it is used for Jibreel alayhi salam. It's just a way of language of in uh, Arabic language, that sometimes plural is used for a singular to show respect and honor to that being. Okay, so here, angels, meaning angel Jibreel, called out to him وهو قائم, while he stood praying يصلي في المحراب, while he was standing while he was in the chamber of Maryam alayhi salam, angel Jibril called out to Zakaria alayhi salam, and he said, أن الله يبشرك, Allah gives you good news of بيحيى, of the birth of Yahya. Okay, Yahya is Allah named. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He named the son of Zakar. This is firstly the first gift. Allah named him. Allah revealed the name. Yahya. Okay? And in Injil, in the Bible, it's called Yohanna, is the name. أن الله يبشرك بيحيى, and Allah first named him. What is the second? What will be his qualities? What will Yahya alayhi salam do? مصدقا بكلمة من الله. He will confirm the word of Allah. What does it mean to confirm the word of Allah? Okay, who is the word? What is the word of Allah? Who is the word of Allah? Word of Allah means here it is referring to Isa alayhi salam. Isa alayhi salam is called the kalima because he was born from the kalima of kun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said kun. right? In the womb of Maryam alayhi salam, and Isa alayhi salam was born, right? So he will confirm, meaning Yahya alayhi salam would be the supporter of Isa alayhi salam. Okay? مُصَدِّقًا بِكَلِمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَالسَّيِّدًا. And then what will be his quality? Sayyid. He would be a leader. He would be a born leader among his people. وَحَسُورًا. And he will be hasuran, meaning extremely pious. Hasuran meaning someone who has extreme self-control, who controls their nafs from desires. You guys can move here if you want. Okay, so he will be hasuran, and وَنَبِيًّا مِّنَ الصَّالِحِينَ, and he will be a prophet among the righteous. Okay, and here's, you see Zakaria alayhi salam sincerely making a dua for a righteous child. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He blessed her. He blessed him with not just what he asked for, but way more. Not just a righteous child, a child who will support the deen of Allah, who would support another prophet of Allah, meaning Isa alayhi salam. He would confirm, you know, there was a lot of, as we will learn, a lot of uh, questions at the birth of Isa alayhi salam, because he was born without a father, right? So he will confirm and support. Plus, not only that, he will not just righteous, he'll also be a leader among his people. He will be extremely guarding of his desires. He will be extremely chaste and pious. Okay, this is the quality, the highlight. Every prophet have different qualities and stuff. They have many qualities, and one quality really outshines. And for Yahya alayhi salam was his piety and chastity. Like he was very, very modest. Okay, وَنَبِيًّا مِّنَ الصَّالِحِينَ, and he would be a prophet. So, we see it all started from the dua. Okay, in Surah Al-Imran, what did Zakaria alayhi salam say? Rabbi habli min ladunka zuriyatan tayyiba. Give me a righteous from yourself, a righteous child. In Surah Al-Imran, the other words of Zakaria alayhi salam is mentioned, وَجَعَلْهُ Rabbi radiya. Oh Allah, make this child pleasing to you. This is from Surah Maryam. Okay, and then through that, the dua of Zakaria alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him with all this. Okay, so what do we see from both these previous ayat is that a woman made the dua and a man made the dua. What did both of them, the Maryam, the mother of Maryam alayhi salam, made the dua, and Zakaria alayhi salam made the dua. What did they both make the dua for? A child. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed them, both of them, with a righteous child. Both of them prayed for Allah to upbring their child in righteousness. And because of the sincerity of their du'as, both of their du'as were fulfilled. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused Maryam alayhi salam to grow up in righteousness. He provided for her in every way. Her spiritual, her emotional, her physical, everything, all of these needs were fulfilled. And same with Yahya alayhi salam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not only fulfilled the dua of Zakaria, the child he blessed him with, he blessed him with many qualities. Okay? So what we learn also, that what also we're talking about is children. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give hikmah to a child, He can do so at a very young age. So we should not parents should be again very, very involved in their children to know what qualities their children possess, so they can recognize from a young age, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give hikmah or wisdom to even a very young child. And sometimes people are very old in age, but they're not as mature. So maturity doesn't always have to do with age, but it has to do with the righteousness of the parents, the environment that they provide, and of course, their parental connection with Allah. Okay? And so also something that we learn here is the power of dua. How much power a dua holds, and the power of dua of a parent. When a parent makes the dua to Allah with sincerity, or if anyone, especially when parents make for their children, okay, the dua is always accepted. The outcome of the dua might be different. And we don't know that, right? Sometimes the dua is just accepted as is, whatever we ask for. Sometimes what we ask for, we get it at the time that Allah has destined for it, the better time, the good time. Sometimes the dua that a person asks for, the result they get in the akhirah, meaning in terms of piles of gold or in terms of good deeds. So, and when a person would see that in the hereafter, they would actually wish none of their du'as in the dunya were accepted. They would be that happy. Okay. And another way the dua could be accepted is by the remover of a calamity or a hardship. Okay, and sometimes that dua is not even meant to be. That's not even good for a person. They may think it's good, but it's not good, right? So this is why we have istikhara, and then we make decision and we make duas. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts ease on a person's heart and shows them the way. And end of the day, a person should realize that dua is also ibadah. When you're making dua to Allah, whatever the outcome of the dua is, itself, the act of dua is an act of ibadah. Every time we make dua, we're doing ibadah, right? So it's basically a win-win situation. You're getting a good deed, hasanat, just for making dua. Then the outcome of dua might be, and it will be that which is beneficial for a person. Ayah number 40. قال ربي أن يكون لي غلام. Zakaria alayhi salam exclaimed, he said, my Lord, how can I have a child, a son, وقد بلغني الكبر, that when I am very old, وامرأتي عاقرا, and my wife is barren. Like out of surprise. Okay, this is not to challenge na'uzubillah, the qudra of Allah or the power of Allah. This is just a surprise. You know, how, oh Allah, how would I, when He's informed of a child, how am I going to have, how, out of just natural surprise of Him, when I'm so old in age, and it said as he was about 120 years old, and his wife from between 88 to 98, somewhere around that. So the reply was, قال كذلك الله يفعل ما يشاء. He replied, so will it be. Allah does what He wills. Anything, Allah can do anything. Doesn't have to be perfect age, perfect health, perfect. Sometimes things are perfect and nothing happens. And so Allah can do anything, okay, by His will, right? You have the dua, the Allahumma la mani' lima a'tayt. We read this dua after this is from the adhkar after salah. Allahumma la mani' lima a'tayt. Oh Allah, none can withhold what you give, wala mu'tiya lima mana'at. And none can give what you withhold. Meaning no one can, if you have to give, no one can hold on to it. And when Allah doesn't want to give, no matter the whole world's forces there, it cannot come to a person. No matter how many treatments or whatever person is going, they cannot have a child. Versus when children are born in war zones, when the mother has no resource to any kind of care, basic care. So when Allah has to bring a life to the world, He does how He wills. قال رب number 41. قال رب اجعل لي آية. Zakaria alayhi salam said, my Lord, show me a sign. Okay, show me a sign that my wife is expecting. Okay, and why is he asking for a sign? It's not again, it's not because he doesn't believe in the power of Allah. Again, we didn't have ultrasound in those days. There was no such kind of thing that you can confirm and all that, right? You can confirm a pregnancy and all of these things. This is just, sometimes prophets are humans. This shows the human nature of a prophet, the emotions. Even Ibrahim alayhi salam, he said to Allah, he said, Rabbi arini kayfa tuhil mauta. Oh Allah, show me, this is Ibrahim alayhi salam from another part of Surah Al-Baqarah. Ibrahim alayhi salam said, my Lord, show me how you give life to the dead. Okay. Allah subhanahu replied, Qala awalam tu'min. Allah said, have you not believed? That means, do you not believe that I can do that? And Ibrahim alayhi salam replied, قال بلى ولكن ولكني يطمئن قلبي. that is just for my heart to be at ease. Sometimes you just want to see. You just want a physical, sometimes sign. Okay? So there is no harm in asking. There is no harm if when we are making a dua, oh Allah, show me if it's good for me. Make an easy path for me. This is again going back to istikhara. When you're so confused between two things. The moment you start making istikhara, things start working in that way. And things start becoming difficult in the other way. Okay, so this is a sign from Allah. Sometimes people could see anything in a dream. Allah knows best. Okay, but there is no harm. So here he asked for a sign for the. Of course, he was really, really old. So just for the come, how would he know if his wife is? She probably wasn't even having her monthly cycles, right? So there was just no way to tell that she was expecting. So what was the sign? قال آياتك, the sign for you is that ألا تكلم الناس, you will not speak to people ناس ثلاثة أيام. For 3 days you won't be able to speak to people إلا رمزا, except through gestures. So somehow Zakaria alayhi salam would not be able to, even with the full ability to speak, he wouldn't be able to speak to people. And like once his wife would have conceived or something, for 3 days he would not be able to speak except through gestures. And during this time, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala command him to do? وَاذْكُرْ رَبَّكَ كَثِيرًا. Glorified, do dhikr of Allah a lot. Okay, also, it's another important thing. If you're talking too much, you can't do dhikr. Sometimes the only way to do dhikr is to not talk so much. But if you're engaged in a lot of speech, we can do dhikr. Speech, uh, um, is a blessing from Allah. Okay, Allamahul Bayan. It's the greatest, one of the greatest blessing to be able to express yourself through words, and especially to say the words of your Lord, right? This is the greatest. But sometimes you have to limit your speech. And here, because since he was not able to speak, he was commanded to do dhikr of Allah. A very important reminder, when a person receives a blessing from Allah, good news, what should be the first thing they should do? Dhikr. They should be engaged in more dhikr, more gratitude, right? More, this is a way of showing shukr, right? How do you show that you're happy? Right? How do you show this emotion? Allah subhanahu blesses us with so many emotions, right? And this way, when you're happy, you're blessed, this is a way to show. So whenever you receive the good news, what should you do? Do maybe pray 2 rakaf nafil, and make dhikr to Allah, thank Allah, recite the Quran. These are all dhikr, right? So do that. واذكر ربك كثيرا وسبح بعشي والأبكار, and glorify Allah in ashi wal abkar, meaning in the morning time and in the evening time. What are these exact times? In another place in the Quran, in Surah Qaf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَسَبِّ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ قَبْلَ طُلُوعِ الشَّمْسِ وَقَبْلَ الْغُرُوبِ. Meaning, what is the actual time that here mentioned? Before sunrise, okay, and before sunset. So from Fajr to sunrise and from Asr to Maghrib. These are actually the times of morning askar, morning and evening askar, the exact times. One can do the askar after that too, after sunrise, but the best time to do the actual for the most effect, right? When a doctor gives you medication, they tell you take this on this exact time. Yeah, you could take some other time in the day too, but for this medicine to work, the most effective manner is when it is prescribed, right? So the most effective time for the askar to have the most virtue, for the zikr to have most virtue, is Fajr to sunrise and Asr to Maghrib. Okay? Wal ashi wal abikar. These are the two times. Okay? What is the virtue of it? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, yeah, Anas radiallahu anhu said that I heard the Prophet say that I sit with people, meaning the Prophet is saying that if I sit with people remembering Allah, from morning Fajr time until sunrise, it's more beloved to me than freeing four slaves from among the children of Ismail. And that I sit with people remembering Allah from afternoon Asr until sunset. It's more beloved to me than freeing four slaves from the among the children of Ismail. Meaning what Prophet is saying here, that if I sit with people doing azkar from Fajr to sunrise and from Asr to Maghrib, this is more beloved to me. It has more virtue to me than freeing the children of Bani Ismail. Bani Ismail here is mentioned is because Bani Ismail, the children of from Ismail alayhi salam, his progeny were given more virtue over the other nations. This is just to say that firstly, freeing slaves from this nation, it is of so much virtue. But even more virtuous is just doing the azkar. So what do we learn from this? Is start taking benefit of the times Allah has prescribed to get the most benefit out of it. Okay. Also, it's also when you start your day with dhikr, you're ending your day with dhikr, right? Maghrib, between Asr and Maghrib, it's almost the end of the day. You're ending your day with dhikr. You're starting Fajr from Fajr to sunrise. So when we're praying Fajr, stay up a little bit extra, do the morning azkar, and then read your morning du'as. There's a whole list of the morning azkar. You can find a different, you have Ayah, you can find on that app too. All of the morning azkar, morning supplications come from that, and you can download the app and read those du'as. Best, and the more you will read, eventually you'll end up memorizing, and then you won't even have to read it from reading. Okay, so also we learned from this lastly is that when you're doing dhikr, you can speak through ishara. So you don't have to break your get off. You can do action. And some people think this is so bad. Like I'm doing dhikr and then I'm pointing to something. No, he did that too. Okay, Zakaria alayhi salam, he was communicating with his people through actions while he was in remembrance of Allah. So mothers, so you finished your salah, you have to especially point to your child to stop something, to do something. You can do that. By hands, it is allowed. Ayah number 42. إذ قالت الملائكة إذ قالت الملائكة, and remember when the angels said إن الله and here again angels meaning referring to Jibreel alayhi salam. إن الله اصطفاكِ, O Maryam, surely Allah has selected you, right? Selected you, has chosen you. And as we laid in the beginning, إن الله اصطفى آدم ونوحا وآل إبراهيم وآل عمران. We learned in the previous ayah number 33, right? So here is Allah subhanahu again referring to Maryam alayhi salam were among the chosen people of Allah. وَطَهَّرَكِ, and Allah subhanahu purified you, meaning Maryam alayhi salam, from what did He purify her? From all kind of evil. Very modest, very chaste. وَاصْطَفَاكِ عَلَى نِسَاءِ الْعَالَمِينَ, and Allah subhanahu chose her to be among the best women of her time. From the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, who are the best women? So Maryam alayhi salam was the best woman among the best women of her time. And among the best women of all times was the wife of the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, Khadija bint Khuwaylid, Fatima bint Muhammad, the daughter of Prophet ﷺ, Maryam bint Imran, the daughter of Imran, Maryam alayhi salam, and Asya bint Muzahim, which is the wife of Firaun. Okay, alayhi salam, over all of them. Okay, so Maryam alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu chose her to be the best among them. Another hadith, Ali radiallahu anhu narrated, I heard the Prophet saying, Maryam, the daughter of Imran, was the best among the women of the world of her time, and Khadija is the best among the women of this nation. Okay. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made her among, and here again, Maryam alayhi salam was not a prophet because the prophethood was only given to men, and it was only because of the physical difficulties and responsibilities that came with prophethood. And as a woman, she already had a lot of other responsibilities. Women in general have a lot, especially childbearing responsibility. So this specific prophethood is safe for given to men because of the physical nature of this. Prophets are being abused and different were a lot of things that they went through, right? But that doesn't mean a woman can also excel, especially when it comes to the deen of Allah. Women can be an alima, a scholar. She can be a da'iyah, the one who calls people towards Allah. She can sometimes excel in fields even better than men. Again, again, that we learn from these ayat, there is no competition between men and women in terms of, what is the thing that they're judged on in front of Allah is their taqwa. And that's equal. Right, and again, both men and women, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them with different capabilities and different tasks that they're given. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He istafaka, meaning He's chose her, what are the things that He selected Maryam alayhi salam for? He selected her again to serve in the Haq and in the Baytul Maqdis when there was no such example of women serving. Then He chose her exclusively for His ibadah. He gave her exclusive risk. He gave her best akhlaq, maturity, knowledge. And sometimes some scholars say some scrolls were also of knowledge were given to her. She had a miraculous birth, and Allah subhanahu birthed a prophet through her, Isa alayhi salam. And then Isa alayhi salam defended her in while he was in cradle, right? So this was all special and exclusive for her. So when Allah has given so much, then what did He command Maryam alayhi salam to do? So many blessings. Ayah number 43. Ya Maryam qutuni. O Maryam, be devout to your Lord. Qunut. What is qunut? Qunut is ibadah that's done with consistency, consistent obedience. Obedience in every situation. Not when things are just easy. Not when you feel like doing it. In every situation, a person is obedient to Allah. Uqnuti lirabbiki, to your Rabb, wasjudi, and prostrate in prayer. Warqa'i ma raqi'in, and bow along with those who bow down. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed Maryam alayhi salam so much, when a person is given such a high rank, that person can become a victim to self-praise. I am something. So what is the way out of it? Is when a person humbles themselves in front of Allah. So Allah subhanahu saved her from being a victim to something like this. Having any kind of thought while He commanded her to engage. The more blessing she received, the more higher rank she received, the more she had to be obedient to Allah, to humble herself. All of this, qunut and prostration, sajda and ruku, all of these three things show what? All of these three states show humility. Okay, humility and bowing down to Allah, consistency and humility. Okay, so overall, what do we learn from this ayah is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes some work of deen from a person, they need to humble themselves even more. Meaning, how do a person humble themselves in front of Allah? Meaning, engaged in more ibadah, all kinds of worship. And not just prayers, also humbling themselves in service of others, being more humble. Okay. Also, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses people, it can also be through Allah is the source, but He can bless through others too. One should always remember that even when they are receiving from people, they are a resource. The main source is Allah. So humility should be towards, people become very obliged to other people. Well, the actual humility should be to, yes, of course, good behavior, but actual humility should be to Allah. He is the provider. Sometimes it's through people. And those are the ones we're living among. So it has to come from some source, right? Whether it's through one's workplace or job, a salary, or an unexpected grant or a help or something. The source is still but the main source is Allah. So one should always, as Maryam alayhi salam, when Zakaria alayhi salam asked her, right? This is from Allah. Okay. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives بِغَيْرِ hisab. Okay. So inshallah, bismillah, we will end our lesson for today here on these ayat. Again, a lot of things many lessons to derive from the stories of these amazing personalities that we have. These are role models that we have, right? And here, especially people have, especially women sometimes have, we don't have any role model or who to look at. This is what we have, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserved in great details, not just actions and stuff, but the feelings of a person's heart are being recorded. So it's something we can, especially as women, can relate towards. And the kind of service that a woman can give, right, to Islam, to the deen. And number one comes education, right? Why do we don't have to educate ourselves to become something. We educate ourselves, the knowledge that we gain about our deen is for our connection with Allah. That's number one. That every woman is a role model at in her house. She's a teacher for her children, or her niece, or her nephew, or all of the people that are her siblings. So every person is a role model, and you're shaping a generation and if you're a mother, this is such a big deal, right? It's way important than going to serve others. It starts from home, right? So it's what we learn from this example is mothers should educate themselves, number one, for their connection with Allah. And of course, if someone asks, now what about the father? Of course, we're talking about both the parents, right? But specifically, since we're here talking, so mothers should. And we look at the examples of the people, the women of the past. um None of the state of a woman should be an excuse for not gaining knowledge. Women were gaining knowledge when they were expecting. Women were gaining knowledge when they had babies, while they had the baby. Of course, it's not easy, but the harder the effort. Maybe your child is making so much noise at the back, you just heard one word, but that one word you and your child heard would have an everlasting, because it's not the amount of knowledge, but it's the effort and the niyyah that a person puts. Because here, even how many words that the woman say? Did she make a whole lot of promises with Allah and big? Just one short dua, just few words, right? So few words listened or said with sincerity have an everlasting effect with Allah. And again, we should know who we're dealing with. We're dealing with Allah, right? We don't need big things, big, but it has to be a consistent connection with Allah. Your or our own personal connection with Allah through the du'as that we make. Okay, so inshallah, bismillah, we will continue this story of Maryam alayhi salam. Again, a great detail of this is mentioned in Surah Maryam. Beautiful, if you read those beginning ayat of Surah Maryam, gives you a little bit of different perspective, more detailed story of her. And while the story will end soon, and then go on to other parts of other themes of Surah Al-Imran. But if you want to get a more detailed story of her birth specifically as she goes to the valley and everything, that's mentioned in Surah Maryam, like the beginning, few 30, 40 ayahs of Surah Maryam, Surah Al-Maryam. Okay, inshallah, if anyone would like to share um, any reflections from today's class, we'll take on site, and then anyone online. Yes. But, oh yeah. Okay. Oh, you want to share? You a bit louder so people can hear you.
Thank you for sharing the prescribed time of was to do the morning at in because morning time, like especially in summer, because Fajr is so early. Like I fall asleep right after Fajr, right? And I do Adhkar later, like when I wake up and I'm fresh. But like that's like not right, right? Like you have to do it. I mean, that's still right.
Yeah.
It's still morning. You can instead of not doing it all.
Yeah.
But the prescribed time is like right after Fajr, before sunrise, right? So you should like force yourself to like not fall asleep, but do our morning adhkar and then fall asleep.
Yes. Yes. Alhamdulillah. Yes.
Yeah, what I wanted to mention is the part that I guess hit me was when Zachariah was around, like his curious nature, like he's not challenging a lot, but he is like as a human being questioning. And sometimes we tell ourselves, oh yeah, but they were prophets. Like how can we take inspiration from them? Like they were prophets. Like we obviously like they deserve to be on that pedestal, but we put them on a pedestal just to excuse ourselves from having that tawakkul or having that trust in Allah. But then when you see that they were just human beings, right? And like I feel like through the Quran, like Allah shows us that they were just human beings, and if they were capable of the sacrifices or the worship that they did, then so are we. Yeah. And just you feel like you can relate to them.
Yeah, like
How can you see somebody as a role
you
model?
can have a feel, you can feel the human side
Exactly.
of them, and they felt the same emotions, the same kind of things.
And the fear too, right? Like
Exactly.
some he felt the fear when he first got revelation, and like yeah, so it makes you feel like you can relate to them more.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Yeah, yeah. Jazakumullah khairan for sharing that. Anyone online would like to share? You can unmute yourself, and any lessons that you would share, like to share from this, or you can type in the chat box. Okay.
Share one more thing.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course,
The
yeah.
other thing I wanted to mention is I like how you mentioned how like women, like when they educate themselves at home, they can be a role model, especially as mothers, because I'm seeing like my sister raise my nephew and how obsessed he is with her, and like that's the kids, like they look up to their parents, right? Like that's the first, like I feel like first two people that they look up to a lot. So yeah, like our parents can have a big influence on the kids.
Yes, parents have a very big influence on the children, and especially very young age, because the parents are the world
Yeah.
for a child. That's all they see, that's all they imitate, and children especially learn through imitation. Right? So a lot of times you don't have to, and at a very young age, you don't even have to tell them. They learn through what they see. How the mom talks, how the dad responds, how they talk with each other, how they talk with other family members every time. So this is why we have to be so cognizant, like as parents, to it's not obviously perfect all the time, but what we're putting out there for our child, because in they record, their mind's recording everything, and then slowly they will start imitating the same emulating the same behavior that they see at home. um Inshallah, we'll be having a few courses coming up, and from September, every Friday, we'll be having regular course classes. Inshallah, Bismillah, we're in our booking process for that, so keep out for that. Upcoming, there will be a boys halaqa, and to get all of these bookings in and these planning into we need all kind of support from the community. So you can always e-transfer the sadaqat to info@alfatinstitute.com. And also you can go on to the website alfatinstitute.com and go to the part where it says donate. And again, all of these are supporting this work. So we're able to educate more mothers, more girls, more boys, more children through this. We plan to have a children's program starting September as well, inshallah bismillah. And jazakumullah khairan for everyone who came. And please, sisters, we encourage you also to come in person for these gatherings. Again, educating yourself is so much important and has so much more effect when it's in person, in everyone's presence. Inshallah, bismillah, we'll see you in the next class. We'll end here. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.